Despite not having Kyle Lowry available for this Friday night matchup against the Miami Heat, the Toronto Raptors still managed to take down the Heat by 20 points off the back of excellent performances from Norman Powell and Aron Baynes. So, can we say after 3 very good games in a row for Aron Baynes, this is the resurgence of his Raptors career? Let's get into it. Welcome to the Raptors Roundup. This is the segment where we go through the Raptors game from the night before on Amateur Hour Sports, the channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors at least 4 days a week, along with at least 3 live streams to complement those videos. So make sure, if you like what you see from today's video and you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Show your support, join the movement of the channel. We also introduced memberships yesterday, so it is there for people who want to do that, also for people who want to be a part of future giveaways on the channel, like when we hit 2,000 subscribers, which we are very close to hitting. But we're talking about the Raptors game today against the Miami Heat, the second one of the back-to-back games against the Miami Heat after losing Wednesday night to the Miami Heat by a pretty sizable margin in the end with Kyle Lowry. We were forced to take them on without Kyle Lowry, and to be honest, I went into this game without very high hopes. The Raptors at 5-9 didn't show signs of being able to break down that Miami Heat zone defense, and honestly, didn't do a phenomenal job in this game. However, defense was the name of the game, and the Raptors defense showed out throughout, let's say, 40 minutes of this game, kept Miami at bay, and for that reason, the Raptors were able to run away with it despite only putting up 101 points. But a lot of good things to say about this Raptors game. Let's get into the synopsis of the game. So without Kyle Lowry in the lineup, this means that Fred VanVleet can start at point guard, Norman Powell can start at shooting guard, and statistically, Fred VanVleet thrives in Kyle Lowry's absence, and also statistically, Norman Powell thrives when he starts. So at least we can rely on our backcourt to probably have a good game, because statistically they thrive in these scenarios. Fred VanVleet didn't have a fantastic game, but Norman Powell definitely did, because on Wednesday night he only had 7 points in the entire game, but Friday night he had 14 points in the first quarter alone. Norman Powell spearheaded this Raptors team coming hot out of the gates, going out to a sizable lead, and eventually leading us to a 37-20 quarter. Also, defense, keeping the Miami Heat to only 20 points in this quarter. I'm going to give a lot of praise to Aron Baynes here, and I know that he's had his struggles, and I was anticipating Aron Baynes to be a great player for the Toronto Raptors, but I'm going to shout out Aron Baynes because he has had 3 good games in a row now, and he's getting better every game. Was good against the Mavs, was better against the Heat on Wednesday, and was even better last night against the Heat Friday night, because Aron Baynes was a rock on defense, doing a phenomenal job on Bam Adebayo, a phenomenal job in getting rebounds, actually forced Bam Adebayo into, I think it was 4 turnovers in the first quarter, which helped the Raptors turn those turnovers into points to get out to that lead. And also, Aron Baynes is being a lot smarter on offense. I don't know if it's down to Baynes or if it's down to Nick Nurse's decision to keep him in that Gasol role, that high post role where he can be the facilitator and maybe sometimes jump out for a three-pointer. When he's in that area, he's much better because he can use his basketball IQ to create plays, maybe get an assist here or there, and not clog up the paint for somebody like Norman Powell, who was slashing to the rim throughout the entire game. Great stuff from Aron Baynes. I'm hoping that this can kind of start the recovery of his Raptors career. The Raps were hitting everything from 3 in this first quarter, which also definitely contributed to that sizable margin, going 8 for 11 from 3 early on, and like I said, they pulled up to a nice 37-20 lead. Second quarter, I was happy to see Malachi Flynn get the minutes in Kyle Lowry's absence, but he needs to start hitting those gimme shots, those easy floaters in close to the rim, and those open threes. Needs to start knocking them down more often. But the Raptors as a whole in this quarter were quite sloppy from an offensive standpoint. Weren't hitting our shots. We were kind of balancing out after our insanely good first quarter in shooting. We definitely balanced it out in the second quarter. I mean, the shooting statistics always balance out by the end of the fourth quarter, unless it's the New Orleans Pelicans who are playing against the Raptors, because they just shoot lights out. But typically, your shooting balances out, and the Raptors definitely balanced it out here. They struggled, but the defense really kept us in the game because Aron Baynes got second quarter minutes, which he never gets. Never gets second quarter minutes. However, did get it here and was great again here. The Raptors defense as a whole, shout out OG Anunoby, shout out Stanley Johnson, shout out a lot of other guys who are contributing heavily on defense to keep this Raptors lead intact. This 17-point lead remained despite having only a 19-point second quarter. But we have to recognize that after only a 19-point quarter, even though we're up 14, our offense really isn't finding the right way to break down this Miami Heat zone defense. Therefore, are they going to be able to maintain this lead throughout the rest of the game? Myself and my chat during the live stream were very nervous at this point because we were looking at this Toronto team that didn't really have an answer for Miami's defense. So Miami were still well and truly in this game despite being down 56-42 at halftime. And lo and behold, in the third quarter, the Miami Heat make it a game. Our offense does not improve. Kendrick Nunn, who had another fantastic game against the Raptors, is knocking down shots. Goran Dragic starts knocking down shots as well. And that 56-42 lead has disappeared into a 61-61 scoreline in this game. And from that point, I wasn't confident going into the game. And at this point, I'm feeling like, how on earth are the Raptors going to win this game? But they shock me. They come out of a timeout and absolutely shock me. They go on a 10-0 run to be up 71-61, and they pretty much didn't look back for the rest of the game. Sure, Miami hung around a little bit in the third quarter, but the Raptors' defense was just smothering the Miami Heat all night. And the offense didn't need to be fantastic in the second and third quarter because of how good the defense was. Shout out the Raptors for getting it right here. And also Miami, shout out them because they did not have a good three-point night as well, which allowed the Raptors to get a big advantage because Raptors threes were falling, Miami Heat threes were not falling, which gave the Raptors this margin of lead going into the fourth quarter. It's very nice to see OG Anunoby really knocking down his threes. 58% from three over the last 5 games because he doesn't shoot to miss. And was shooting to miss early on in the season and has completely rectified that, is really playing up to that $72 million contract. Props to OG Anunoby. Now, moving on to the fourth quarter, we take care of business. The offense starts to be a little bit better and starts to pull away from this Miami Heat team. Then it's stretching the lead from 10 points to 15 points, eventually getting all the way up to a 20-point lead to wrap off this game. There isn't much to say about this fourth quarter because the Raptors straight up took care of business. They cruised all the way to the 48-minute mark. They didn't let the Miami Heat get really any hope of being in this game, and it was fantastic to see. I was never confident the Raptors were going to win this game until there was about 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but the Raptors seemed to be comfy throughout the quarter. Props to them for closing it out. They were up by so much that they didn't have enough time to let the Miami Heat come back, and the Raptors win 101-81. Now, this is Raptors basketball, keeping teams to under 100, and we kept them only to 81 points. But I would rather win the game 104-101 rather than a 122-117, a high-flying point scoreline. I want to see the Raptors play that stellar defense like they did here against the Miami Heat and just edge them in points. Get over that 100 mark and keep the team under 100. That is the best win for me for this Raptors team because they want to be that great defensive team. This is Raptors basketball. And we're seeing shades of Raptors basketball returning because even though the offense wasn't fantastic in this game, the defense was great. The offense was great in the first quarter, which got us that lead. It was odd to see the defense and offense both having a good night together, but we saw it here. And props to the Raptors for sticking this one out, grinding through, and in this tough 6-game stretch that we're on with the Mavericks, 2 games against the Heat, 2 games against the Pacers, and 1 game against the Bucks, the Raptors have started that 2-1. So that bodes well for the next 3 games. I think we can finish off 4-2. I think we can finish off this 6-game stretch 4-2, but at the minimum, I think we go 3-3. Good signs for the Raptors going forward. Also, just want to touch on the fact that Chris Boucher really didn't get a lot of time in this game. I don't know why. Aron Baynes is playing well, yes, but Chris Boucher really deserves some of those power forward minutes. He's been our best player this season. Not sure why Nick Nurse didn't play him a lot, but we ended up getting the win, so I'll take it. I'm going to take the win however they come. So let's get into the 3 takeaways of the game. The first key takeaways that we're seeing Aron Baynes really start to progress as a Toronto Raptor. He's being smarter on offense in terms of his positioning, in terms of his decision making, and he's turning into a bit of a paint beast on defense over the last few games. Very happy to see. I'm not going to say he's fully back to what he was, but it's definitely good to see him slowly recovering from that slow start, and it's nice to see him getting more and more minutes every game. Hopefully he can become this big that we can rely on, that the Raptors can rely on to start games and not just be there for the sake of it, for the sake of his size. I want to see him grow into this role on the Toronto Raptors, and we're starting to see that. Hopefully that trend continues. Second key takeaway is that Norman Powell and Fred VanVleet play very well together. Fred is great when Lowry doesn't start, and Norman Powell is great when he does get to start, no matter who he's playing with. So this bodes well for any injury concerns with Kyle Lowry, and also if Kyle Lowry does leave at any point during the season or at the end of the season, we can be confident with a backcourt of Fred VanVleet and Norman Powell if we do hang on to him. I think that is important to note that, you have a starting shooting guard in Norman Powell that you're fortunate enough to have coming off the bench as your sixth man. Has he been consistent this season? No, but he's tightening it up now. He's having more of those great games like we saw last night. Third key takeaway is that this Raptors defense is really finding its feet. A lot of these new guys are really learning the rotations, and we've completely rejuvenated Stanley Johnson into a fantastic wing defender or even a paint defender, while also being able to contribute on offense with some three-pointers. Props to the defense, props to everybody on the defense, like Baynes, like Stanley Johnson, lots of guys, OG Anunoby as well, clamped up a lot of Miami Heat players. Props to the Raptors for the defensive performance last night. That is the reason we got the win. Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on this game in the comments down below. Who was your top performer of the game? Do you think Aron Baynes is going to find his feet as a Toronto Raptor and start to contribute like we saw last night more often? I want to hear all of your thoughts and opinions. Let me know in the comments down below. But that wraps it up for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please like the video if you like, and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this. Like I said, tons of Raptors videos, tons of live streams, and we just introduced memberships on the channel. So if you want to be a part of future giveaways on the channel, plus some other good perks, make sure you hit that join button down below and become a member. If you don't want to become a member, that's completely okay, because nothing will change on the channel. There's just added bonuses for the people that want it. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.